Thursdays at 8:50 p.m.
This is Big Poppy, host of Jazz from the Cabinets. Join me each week for a listening tour of the first century of jazz, an eclectic mix of Dixieland, big band, cool jazz, bebop, contemporary jazz, world jazz, all jazz in all forms. That's Jazz from the Cabinets with Big Poppy on Rainier Avenue Radio, streaming worldwide on RainierAvenueRadio.world.
Hey, this is Paul Pearson. I've hosted the R&B show Star Time since the very beginning of Rainier Avenue Radio, and after years of featuring tracks from the 50s through the 80s, Star Time now plays R&B and hip-hop from the 1990s as well. A whole half-century of soul, funk, hip-hop, and more on Star Time, Wednesdays at 2 p.m. on Rainier Avenue Radio.
Generational wealth. Generational wealth. Generational wealth. What is generational wealth? We asked our communities, and this is what they had to say.
When I think about generational wealth, I think about history. I think about the history of exploitation, of what led us to today. Some people live a certain social economic way, and the majority does not get to live in that same way. Perhaps they don't want to live that way. I don't know.
Generational wealth has some really strong positives and some really strong negatives. At its best, it's ways that communities can grow, find security for themselves. It's a way to make sure that your children and their children and each generation thereafter has opportunities to find joy and growth and make a difference in the world.
This campaign to create awareness to generational wealth is brought to you by the Department of Neighborhood's Generational Wealth Initiative, the Washington Housing Finance Commission, and Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
This is Paul Pearson, host of Star Time. And when I'm not meeting Mrs. Jones in that cafe for a chat and nothing else, I'm listening to Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
Hey, hey, hey. Woo, y'all, this is Dr. Traci Harrell. And what I am most excited about today is that we are on the Monday following Resurrection Sunday. I know. Can you believe that we're already in April of 2024? Yes. And you're watching Better Together and Living Powerfully. You may have some pop-in guests today, and if so, I'm telling my producer right now, just bring them on if they're able to join. But what I really wanted to share is that Resurrection Sunday for me, you see me show up here talking about the science of living powerfully, or the science of actually driving change. What's really exciting is that there's also an equally powerful, what I would consider even more powerful spiritual side to this work, right? So we talk about neuroscience, positive psychology, cognitive behavioral psychology, and performance science. Like that's what we talk about as it relates to this work. How do you live your best life? How do you show up, right? Living powerfully. How do you show up every day living powerfully? Well, there's the science to it. There's also the belief. So if you believe scientifically that when someone says whatever's happening can be turned into a gift or an opportunity, right? We've been talking about that for several weeks. We call it the sage perspective as it relates to positive intelligence, right? You get to decide what success looks like. You actually get to decide how you show up in community. You get to decide if whatever's happening is going to be a gift, or is it going to be the worst thing that's ever happened to you? I will graciously share that I am having a series of challenges that I am absolutely categorizing as we call it Jedi training. You know what I mean? Jedi training is like the black belt training. Like when really bad things happen, you're like, okay, this is going to help me to practice what I preach. So if we're saying that this could be the best thing, or it could be the worst thing, what I'm going to admit, right, is that I'm struggling. Even as an entrepreneur, I'm struggling, right? I do a lot of this work for free. I show up here for you all for free. I show up in community for free. I've been leading nonprofits for free. And the truth is, I actually need to also charge for the work that I do. And I've started doing that as well. I've started doing it. And I have to thank my own coach, because, coaches need coaches too. And oftentimes what she says is, you want to help people, you got to help yourself as well, right? So for those of you who know me and you know me well, you know my heart's in the right place. I know sometimes I mess up, and we all do, right? But as long as you know that he is showing up for you, that he believes that you are doing what you believe is the right thing for you and for others around you, then that's where the peace comes. So when we talk a lot about what we can do, how we can show up in community, the fact that we just had Resurrection Sunday, I was so moved by the presentation that my pastor shared this past Sunday. And it was, you have to, I'm going to break it down, because he was basically saying, are you only happy when good things are happening to you? He basically said, do you have a Resurrection Sunday mentality on Good Friday, right? You know, Jesus was put on the cross, right? Bad things are happening, right? Were you praising? Were you saying, hey, I know this is going to work out for my good, when it didn't look like it was going to work out for my good? Does that make sense? Right? Right? You're Mary and you're watching your son, you know, on the cross. And if you believe that kind of thing, you know, then you know, good for you. If you don't, same thing applies, right? Like, if you believe that whatever's happening in your life, if you believe that this is the worst thing that's going to happen, that will ever happen to you, and all kind of bad things will happen, that's how we manifest additional bad things. Not saying that the bad thing couldn't be less than optimal, right? I mean, we want to have an easy path on our journey to success. We really want to show up in a way that would allow us to typically, you know, we call it moving with ease and flow. Well, that happens. That gets to happen to us when we believe, right, that no matter what happens, it will be turned into a gift or an opportunity. And it's good to surround yourself with people that believe that as well, right? It's good to surround yourself with people that have believed it and have their own testimony, right? A testimony is simply saying, you know what, I had this bad thing happen, or this situation was happening to me, and then people showed up for me. And I do have people that would say I've shown up for them. Thank God. Thank God, right? That I have shown up in community when I worked at Microsoft, when I worked at Disney, when I worked at IBM. You know, I was always that one, the Black leader that was in a leadership role that would show up for our people collectively, right? I felt like it was my responsibility to make sure that I was also showing up in a way that said, hey, accountability is something that we all, you know, have a responsibility to contribute to, right? Accountability means we all get to show up for ourselves. We get to show up in a way that allows us to truly thrive. So, you know, if you're open enough to share when things are not going well, which is partly what I want to do during part of this show, is give people an opportunity to share how they've shown up, how this concept of positive intelligence, or this concept of being a believer, this concept of saying, you know what, for me, you know, my life is in such a, sorry, didn't know my finger was showing. Sorry. So I was trying to look at the chat. My computer was giving me some challenges today. So I'm on my phone. Sorry about that. So what I love about this is three things, right? So if you can believe that your best life is next, it's now, that you, from a financial perspective, blessings are coming your way, even if your bank account is negative. That's when the celebration needs to happen. Like, okay, this is gonna help me to be more creative, right? I've been saying that. I've actually been saying that to myself. Like, if I didn't have a little extra pressure, right? Diamonds are made under pressure. So I'm like, okay, this bank account situation, it's just a little extra pressure, right? It's the pressure, you know, that where diamonds are made. So you can use that type of language as well. You can say that, you know what, this is not ideal. This is not maybe the plan that I would have laid out for myself. However, yes, and I still believe with my heart of hearts, I absolutely believe that this too will work out for my good. So what our pastor asked is, are you only celebrating? Are you only right in a believing when things have already worked out? Because that's actually not how the equation works. Does that make sense? Like, it really is I'm in a situation that is less than optimal. It could be horrible. When I tell people like what I'm dealing with right now, the fact that my house that I'm living in, I'm pointing in the background here, the house that I'm living in, I'm going to tell you a real story. This is my testimony. The house that I'm living in, that I've been renting for 5 years. I've lived in 2 rental homes, 5 years and 5 years. And this one, it's been sold to a developer. This house was built in 1959, so they really just bought the land. So they're going to tear the house down in less than 30 days. And I need to find a new place to live. And I was getting a really good deal. I don't think I knew how good of a deal I was getting until I started looking in the market. And I'm like, yikes! Literally, like, yikes! So that is, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. The basic, the baseline for Maslow is secured housing. You get what I'm saying? So the fact that I literally for 90 days, because he did give me 90 days. So I've been looking for 60 days. So I'm in my last 30 days. Sorry. I'm in my last 30 days. That was tears of joy. I'm laughing. I'm not crying. I promise. I promise. I just had some technology issues, so I'm just kind of like amusing myself with this too. Is exactly the way it was supposed to be, right? No one wants technology issues to happen, but when they do, you just kind of keep it moving. You don't stress about it. You can't, right? Do I want? Like I said, I was blessed by a friend this week, in such a way that my heart is moved. They wanted to contribute to my ministry because they're like, we need people like you in this world. Traci at itsallbiggerthanme.com is my email address. My website is Traci. It's itsallbiggerthanme.com. And so it was just so beautiful to have a friend say to me, I see you. I see how you show up in community. And I want to support you. I want to help take some of the edge off if I can. Right? So if anyone knows of a place that's relatively inexpensive, reach out. But it doesn't matter. Like, when I say it doesn't matter, by that I mean whatever happens. In 30 days, I will be out of here and I will figure it out, right? It will be figured out. And this is the trust part of like me being in a position where I'm saying I don't have any idea where I'm going to be in 30 days. I got a bunch of stuff. I'm going to go in a storage unit to make sure that at least I got a place to put some stuff as I get rid of tons of stuff. Anybody needs some house stuff, let me know. But like at the end of the day, this is me like walking in faith, like doing it in the moment, right? Saying it is going to work out for my good. I don't know why I'm looking back. I don't know why I'm looking back. But this place, this too, will work out for my good, right? The pressure of trying to find a new place, the blessings of having been in this place for as long as I have been at such a great rate, yay, right? I will look and I will find something, or the universe, it'll all work out. I mean, I'd be lying if I said I hadn't looked into what it feels like to sleep in your car. I know that sounds horrible. You're like, what? Dr. Traci Harrell. I know she did way too much overgiving. She did a little too much. She did a little bit too much gifting to community. Now she's focused on her business. So I will continue to give in community. That's why I'm here today. I did decide that this was important for me to show up for you all. And I'm continuing to coach individual entrepreneurs and leaders in community. I'm an executive coach. We're doing training and coaching and all kind of wonderful things, and I will continue to do that. I also just signed up with 3 different CEOs and executives, so it's exciting. Some future work though, some like May, June, July work. So I need some right now work. So if anybody wants some help, let me know. You have to ask. You have to put it out there. Okay. So what I'm doing today is declaring what I do and what you can do is whatever you want to see manifested, believe it, show up with a joyful attitude, meaning when we talk about being able to make decisions from a positive intelligence perspective, it's like in these moments, right? It's like I decided that I am going to do 3 things a day, just 3, related to my business, my health and wellness and all that good stuff. 3 things. You remember I had a stroke about a year ago and I'm still in recovery. Speech therapy, I do occupational therapy, physical therapy. So I'm still like getting well. And it's been hard, honestly. But even that was a blessing. I can even say right now, believe it or not, this is not fake Traci. This is I only have one Traci. That's the real, legit, authentic Traci. But I can honestly say right now that my stroke that I had Christmas Day of not 2023, but Christmas last year, a year ago, that was a blessing. Would I want to have said, I hope I have a stroke someday? No. But because it happened, and because it was not my last day, which it very well could have been, what that did is that gave me, what could the blessing and the opportunity be in that? Ooh, a newfound energy around, hey, we're not promised tomorrow. So if there's any giving that I need to do in community, I need to activate immediately, right? Right. If there's any work that I want to put out into the world, I better do it now. So when I say I'm on a mission like nobody's business, that's what I mean by I'm showing up in community, fully in community. So if I hadn't had the stroke, I wouldn't be more focused on my health, building some more healthy routines, right? I'm participating in Girl Trek, which is a group that basically dedicates themselves to, they say self-care is a revolutionary act. It's called Girl Trek, GIRLTREK. So if you're interested in taking anything that's happening in your life and turning it into a good thing, I mean, for me to say I'm not glad that I had this stroke, that's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is, if everything can be turned into a gift and an opportunity, then just hear me. I have to find the gift and the opportunity in that too. Does that make sense? We have to find the gift and the opportunity in whatever's happening in your life. And I know oftentimes we don't talk about the bad things. We just kind of let them, nobody wants to put that on the internet. No one wants to talk about the things when it's hard. But that's me. That's what Better Together is about. That's what Living Powerfully is about as well. It's saying when the real things are happening, when the hard things have happened, it's easy to do something retroactively. You know what I'm saying? Like if I had this stroke a year ago and then I'm like, oh, wow, now all of a sudden, right, I see things differently. Not all of a sudden, now a year later, I see things differently. So the work, and stay with me here, because the real work is how can you shorten that gap between having any experience and knowing in the moment. It's in the moment that is so powerful. Like now I'm going to let myself be pissed off today at somebody who would normally trigger me. And then I'm going to say some bad stuff and then I'll come back later and apologize. You can do that if that's not your thing. It's fine, right? But that's just not optimal, right? Optimal is like, okay, something just happened. Some email just came in. Somebody just said, we all have it. Come on, it's okay. Admit it. We all have those things that trigger us, right? That make us kind of do things that maybe are less than optimal. Maybe there's some things that you've wanted to do that you haven't fully implemented. I think 90% of New Year's resolutions are like not activated or forgotten about by February. So we can do better, right? So it's basically like this idea that when things happen in the moment, if you can in the moment. I know I got a few minutes before we have to go to our first break, but I wanted to clarify, if in the moment, we're going to do a little breathe and a pause. You pause and you breathe. I know it sounds so simple, but it's true. You can also, like, touch your hands, touch your fingers together. You can look at some things visually. You could just be physical. If you're sitting in a chair, you feel your butt in the chair. You can squeeze your toes, on the carpet if your feet are on the ground, if you're standing or sitting, whatever that is. It's about really being in the moment. So you pause and you focus on something and you're breathing and something physical. We call that a PQ moment. That's how you get out of the, fight or flight. That whole, yikes, worst thing ever. Yikes, this person is horrible. Yikes, I can't believe they did that to me. Those are the things that we fall into the habits of, right? We start to believe things that aren't necessarily true, or we put these stories, around the things that may or may not be true. So I get to show up today in my full authentic self, reminding each of you, right, what you can do for yourself in the moment. Now, when we come back, I'm going to pull up another, a little document here, and we're going to talk a little bit more about how we get to show up, not only for yourself, how we show up for others. And for those people, we had some guests that were on last week, and we've had some communications, some text messages with people back and forth. And I found that the thing that most people will say is they can't focus on their best because of others. So stay with us as we go to our first break, and we'll be right back with more Better Together and Living Powerfully right here on Rainier Avenue Radio. Thanks.
I'm Paul Pearson, host of Star Time. And when I'm not rehearsing my annual address to shareholders, I'm listening to Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
Generational wealth. Generational wealth. Generational wealth. What is generational wealth? We asked our communities, and this is what they had to say.
Generational wealth is incredibly difficult to accrue. My mom likes to joke that we come from a long line of people who are bad at money. She always talks about wanting to buy a house so that she has something to leave her kids. I got really sick when I was a kid, and all our money went towards that. I had to leave college because I couldn't afford my next year's tuition, medical bills, and life. It's all so difficult. And then you think about wanting to leave something behind for your kids. Well, how can you leave something behind for your kids when every day you're trying to make sure that your kids have joy and happiness and health and fulfillment today? Every day I'm really concerned about if I'll be able to keep living and making art in this city for myself.
This campaign to create awareness to generational wealth is brought to you by the Department of Neighborhood's Generational Wealth Initiative, the Washington Housing Finance Commission, and Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
Women are not an homogenous group.
We face discrimination differently depending on factors such as ethnicity, age, socioeconomic status, and more.
Rainier Avenue Radio is proud to amplify women's voices.
They are the experts of their own lives, initiating conversations within their community about challenges they face, the solutions they're working on, and the opportunities they see.
Please join us this Sunday from 2 to 5 for Women's Voices on Air. We know our challenges. We are the experts of our lives.
We are master multitaskers, prioritizing our family, friends, and our faith above our own needs.
Our needs and voices are too often overlooked.
Please join us this Sunday from 2 to 5 p.m. for Women's Voices on Air.
We tell our stories in our own way.
Welcome to the Fitness Corner. I'm your host, Mark Bryant, and you're going to get a whole total body workout on my show, starting off with a warm-up, aerobics, strength training, cool down, and stretching every Friday from 11:30 to 12 right here on Rainier Avenue Radio.
Hello, my name is Pastor Derek Lane, and I live and pastor here in the Othello community. I'm vaccinated because I know how illness can hurt the community. As a grandfather, I am boosted to help protect my 3.5-year-old granddaughter who can't be. I don't want to see members of my community die needlessly. And as a pastor, I've had funerals for those who caught COVID, but none from taking the vaccine. If you have questions, need resources, or want to make an appointment, visit kingcounty.gov/vaccine.
This is Paul Pearson, host of Star Time. When I'm not explaining to my intern exactly what R&B is, I'm listening to Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
Hey y'all, this is Traci Harrell. I'm back here with you on Rainier Avenue Radio. This is public radio, community radio, y'all, and this is for you. So if we're focused today, this is the Monday after Resurrection Sunday. So I'm going to ask, what dreams do you have that you want to resurrect in your life? I know I'm using the language. It's okay, because I'm serious. What do you want to resurrect? If you believe that you have the power within, in your mind, in your body, you get to decide, you get to create the life of your dreams. So some of us said some things we wanted to do at the beginning of the year. I know I talked about losing weight, and I'm doing it, y'all, in the midst of shenanigans. I actually lost a really good friend, a miscommunication. Hopefully, it'll all work out, but it broke my heart a little bit, right? This too works out for my good, right? Hopefully it will resolve itself. But you got to believe that everything happens, as it's supposed to, right? Even bad things. Again, I mentioned my house is sold, right? So I got to find a new place, and I'm feeling a little uncomfortable with the concept. Not saying that you can't. That's what someone just texted me, so I had to provide a clarification. So I'm not saying that you aren't supposed to feel your feelings. There's something called like you could be like overly positive, like pretend like nothing bad is happening. I'm not saying pretend like nothing bad is happening. So I thank you for the text messages and the clarification. So what we're saying is, it sucks. It's okay. It sucks that I have to find a new place, that I'm struggling, that I don't have the money to actually, do the things that I would like to do. Am I upset that I actually invested in community? No. Would I do it again? Yes, because I think God has got my back. He's like, I got you, sister. I got you. So let me be clear. When these bad things happen, again, I said I'm grateful for my stroke. Not that I wanted to have a stroke, but in hindsight, if everything can be turned into a gift or an opportunity, I guarantee I'm a lot more focused on my health than I was. I guarantee I take breaks, right? I'm willing to tell the story. So hopefully I'll save someone else's life. If anything neurological happens, if you start feeling weird and it's not, your face isn't droopy or whatever, so you don't feel like it's a regular stroke, if it's anything that is neurological, where things are not functioning the way you think they should and the way they have in the past, 911. The quicker you get to the emergency room, the better. I was able to tell my story. I had some lady who I didn't even know actually say, I was really glad that you said that. And they started telling me stories about people in their family who've had, situations, et cetera, that happen. And so, we get to show up in life the best we can. We're all flawed and doing the best we can. So that to me is just your opportunity to show up in community by telling your story. So if something has happened and then you had a victory, again, someone blessed me this Saturday. Someone literally blessed me. So the edge that I had, like, I really don't know exactly where am I going to go. Like, I may be, like the whole car, sleeping in the car thing was on the list of distant possibilities, but possibilities nonetheless, right? I'm being honest. And so this Saturday I was blessed. That was a believer who was like, hey, you keep doing what you're doing in community, keep showing up, right? Now, I'm not out of the woods. I so not out of the woods, right? I'm even considering maybe going back into the corporate space, which I would not want to do, honestly, because I believe the work that I do now is so powerful. No one's doing it the way I'm doing it, with a combination of skills, tools, and resources that I am with the experience. Not saying I'm better than everybody else. I'm not saying that at all. But I am saying this is what I was meant to do. This is part of my gift to the universe, right? For individuals or leaders, stay with me here. If there are leaders out there who say, you know what, I really do want my team to be successful, to improve their performance. I want them to be able to be more positive, to work together more collaboratively. I want my team to feel like we're pouring into them, right? I want to create a truly inclusive culture. No one does that better than me, because this just is what I'm meant to do. That I mentioned my little company, It's All Bigger Than Me Consulting. I am doing this work in partnership with the National Black MBA Association, right? We got a little grant through WSMA. So I get to bring this type of weekly content into community. We're focusing on entrepreneurs, and we're also focusing on community. A lot of those entrepreneurs talk about the family and the people that they connect with, that they wanted to have this in community in a way that allowed people to truly thrive. So we're going to get back formal with the actual week-on-week curriculum, and that will start at the end of April. I think it's 4/24 is when we're going to start that. So the end of April, we're going to start the April through May 6 weeks of content. We wanted to also bring this practical application to you all today, because again, real people have to talk about being real. And being real isn't just like reading from a script. No. Can't be, right? It has to be us showing up and saying, what does living powerfully mean when things aren't showing up your way? I thought that was so beautiful. My pastor, again, Leslie Braxton, at New Beginnings Christian Fellowship. But his message was so powerful. Like, do you celebrate resurrection style, right? When you're being nailed to the cross? I know it sounds horrible, right? But can you believe that when the bad things are happening, that it will work out for your good? That's living powerfully. I just need to be very clear. That is how we live powerfully. It's about assuming what we call the sage perspective, but it's scientific, it's biblical. Things will work out for your good. No, I know it sounds insane for people who are like, what do you mean? What you talking about, Willis? Right? Like, what? What do you mean? Yes, when the bad things are happening, all you have to do is believe that this too will work out for your good. We've talked about this before, and I've used my little PowerPoint slides, and I've talked about the brain and how we use, you take a moment in time, and you can decide, am I going to let my saboteurs show up and tell me some lies that this really is the worst thing, and I'm always going to fail, and I'm, whatever someone has told you, good, whatever those things, those negative things we tell ourselves. No, you do not have to move in that path that you may have gone down in the past. You don't have to. Like, this is the new moment. When we say living powerfully, it is about pausing, breathing, right? These PQ moments where you pause and breathe. You can just calmly touch your fingers together and so lightly. We've said this before, right? Someone told me that they love doing this now. They do it every day. You can do it for 10 seconds in a moment, 2 minutes, 15 minutes. It's meditation, but it's deeper. It's meditation that has an amplification, right? So you are also saying meditation could be just silence. This is about being intentional about what you want to co-create. It's about saying, okay, I see my own saboteurs. Remember how I instructed you all to go to positiveintelligence.com. Halfway down the page, you'll see this orange block, and it basically says discover your saboteurs. That's our free saboteur assessment, right? I'm a coach. I'm a certified success coach. I'm also part of the mastering PQ coach as well with Positive Intelligence. I'm a certified transformational coach. So when I say this is part of the work that we do that's relatively easy. I had to really respond to the comments that I received last week and early this week, and then follow up on the messaging over this weekend, Saturday and Sunday, and just the life journey that we're on. So if you all can believe that, say you have a business, and say your business is not creating the output, the revenues that you would like, you can decide that, you know what, maybe I shouldn't have started this business and go down the negative path. Maybe someone else has some other product better than mine. Any of those things could be true. But if you're doing this work, if you started your business out of a alignment or in alignment with what you know you were meant to do, right? And you've done the due diligence, part of it is believing. It's the faith factor. It's hanging in there, right? When the going gets tough. I know that sounds so cliche, but it's not just hanging in. It's like, here's how you do it. You pause, you breathe, you create a space where you lay out a plan. This is how I'm going to show up, right? This is how I'm going to show up for myself. This is how I'm going to show up for others. I'm going to shift, right? Those people that are in business, entrepreneurs, professionals, right? Who have often said, I'm going to go after that promotion. I'm going to go after that next contract. I'm going to go after that next thing. And you might be holding yourself back because you don't believe it's for you. So what the recommendation is to see it already yours. To see that whatever has happened, you didn't get the last thing, got it. That's not the end of the world either. That's a learning. So you didn't achieve whatever task you thought you should have or would have. But what you are going to do is you're going to move forward. You're going to believe that this is for you. You're going to see yourself already winning that next agreement, winning that next promotion. You're going to see it already happening, right? The more time you spend in a space of positive psychology, the more time your brain, your mind, the universe will help you to co-create what you believe is going to happen, right? Even if other things are happening around you, you're going to see the positive things because you've decided, I'm going to have a positive outcome from this too. I had someone write to me and they were telling me about, some changes that happened on their job, and this is someone I've been coaching, and we were able to find 50 different things that were positive that could happen. About 20 of the 50 things actually showed up because we were like, what if this and what if that, right? Like it's okay, right? Change that is outside of what you would normally have expected, that looks bad, doesn't always have to end up bad. I know it sounds so simple and it's so true. So this is me showing up today in my full, most authentic self. I couldn't possibly do this any other way. I'm looking at another quote that came from someone, and they asked me about children. I don't have children. I have nieces and nephews. And they said, how can they bring their child into this work? And we talked a little bit about this in the past, but there's something called sage contagion. Sage is like that positive side of your brain. If the saboteurs is like when you say you're triggered by something, and you're if you do the saboteur assessment, and my saboteurs are pleaser, hyperachiever, controller, and avoider. So those are my top 4 saboteurs. And so there's some other, things mixed in it, but those are the top 4 by far. And so if you've been triggered in the past and you find that you oftentimes show up in a way maybe that's less than optimal, right? So you'll find that you are likely going to trigger the negative in other people as well. So if someone's triggering you, you might be triggering them too. You might, right? So we talk about improving your relationships. What you get to do, you can't control the other person. You could be so sagey, and when we say sagey, we mean so positive, right? The sage perspective says, I believe everything, every situation can be turned into a gift and an opportunity. So that's the sage perspective. And then we talk about the gifts that could come out of whatever the situation is. And then we talk about our 5 superpowers, right? This idea of exploring, having empathy first, right? Exploring, asking questions without judgment, innovating, navigating, and then activating. So there's like 5 things, superpowers that we can go through, that you can leverage to build your own sage, like your own positive energy, your positive response to any situation, your positive activation. So how do you create? How do you manifest? I'll use that language. How do you manifest the outcomes that you desire? It's through those 5 sage superpowers, right? And that's what the coaching kind of is. That's what the 6 weeks is. It's like, how do you create new neural pathways? So if you're used to doing something one way, we're saying, nope, you can do it this way, and let's practice it together. That's where the Better Together Empowerment Series and the Living Powerfully experience comes from. So I say that to say, when someone talks about their child, or they talk about their mates, because oftentimes you have a mate where you feel like, maybe I'm more positive than this person is. How can I be of influence to someone else in my life? It's called the sage contagion. You just got to do it. You have to be it. You have to become it. That's why I show up every week with a story, with some information, with some activation. Again, I've done the slides numerous times. I got some 6 weeks. We're going to start again. So it's deep, right? And it's not really for everyone. Everyone isn't ready to go deep. Just full disclosure. I know that. We can say we are, but we're like, well, I don't really want to change in the moment. Then you're not really ready. It's okay. It's okay. But what you can do is, when you're ready, and who's to say what's right or wrong, right? I made a mistake and told a friend that, hey, let's respond in the moment. She said, that ain't my style. That ain't how I roll. I'm like, what? I'm just trying to help you. She's like, no, this is not going to work for me. So I'm like, sorry. So that was a good lesson for me, because everybody's style is different. So all you can do is do your best, being honest, right? Do your best, show up with good intentions, knowing your heart is pure, and then literally show up believing and activating in such a way that you are positive. To the best of your abilities, right? That you're showing up in a positive way. And then the good news is, and I promise you, it really is good news. The good news is that you will get to influence others simply by you showing up. Now, I'm not saying just by you being positive, somebody who, has an attitude or has an issue or feels uncomfortable or whatever, that they're going to automatically change. That is not what I'm saying at all. You have to be consistent and persistent and decide that no matter what happens in the moment, I'm going to choose joy. That may mean you have to, disconnect yourself from the space, disconnect yourself from that person even. I get that. And, it can be hurtful and harmful. But sometimes, you might just need space. But you can also just show up, right? So you establish the sage in yourself. So it's almost like fueling your positive energy bucket before you even get around the person or the thing or the situation. You go ahead and you project, right? You plan what your success strategy is going to be before you even get there. So you're basically visualizing it. I'm giving you the secret to success, I promise you. Right? It's not my secret. It's out there for the taking. Just say it, right? It's out there for the taking. It's well known, right? You plan your next steps. You plan how you're going to show up. You can even envision it. You visualize. It's like we say it's performance science. So when you talk about the basketball players that practice the hoops physically in the gym and those that practice it in their minds, and literally your mind doesn't know the difference. So if you're closing your eyes and you're like, okay, here's what I'm going to do, right? You say it out loud, you walk it out, right? This is how I'm going to show up, right? I'm going to whoosh, I'm going to make every basket, right? It is scientifically proven that when you imagine a successful outcome, you're more than likely to achieve that successful outcome when you're in the actual situation, because your mind doesn't know the difference between you practicing it and actually doing it. So now you're creating new neural pathways. You're like getting that groove in the record players. You're getting that groove. You're wearing that groove in. So your mind is like, okay. So yeah, well, I may have used to done this thing. Like, this is how I eat differently, right? I think about, I chew slower, right? I imagine the texture of the items. I've lost like 30 some pounds just through PQ, just through positive intelligence, just because I'm going to show up differently. I know it's exciting. It's exciting. So we can do that too. You can do that for anything, right? It's about establishing this journey of continuous improvement. You do it before, after, during, you do it throughout your day. The other thing is you want to start your day with this PQ, this kind of positive intelligence. My plan for the day is, right? So if your plan for the day, remember you all said there's some things you were going to do. Most people have said there's some things they wanted to do for New Year's, right? Come back to that. Resurrect that dream. Resurrect whatever dreams you had for the new year and say, this is how I'm going to do one thing each day toward that particular goal. One thing. I'm going to show up differently. I can do it. You can do it. We can do it together. That's what living powerfully is all about, right? Resurrect the dream, resurrect your New Year's resolutions right now. I know it's April. Can you believe it's already April 1st? So if you start right now, you still got plenty of time, 8 full months, baby, to show up, right? Show up so that by December, you're sitting back with your feet up. You've already achieved the goals. You've already achieved the goals, and then you can just glide into December planning for the next year, right? So you don't have to work so hard when you've decided, I'm going to embody, right, the outcome, the life that I want. And you know what that is. Like, if you want to lose weight, we know what that looks like, right? We know what it feels like. You just start doing it. You start, and I know it's the Nike Just Do It, and you're like, really, Tracy? Yes. And I can say that because I have the best before picture ever. And I say I was over 300 pounds, and I can say that and mean it, right? Because I kind of took my eye off the ball. I allowed this to be the one way where I stuffed my feelings, right? I allowed myself to do things that were less than optimal for my health. And now I'm like, I love you. And you get to show up in a different way for yourself. I love it. So again, this concept of creating the sage contagion, that's something that we can all do. So when we talk about practicing, we want to identify that we're all a work in progress, right? We all are. And so you can apologize because you're not going to be perfect at this. I'm going to be positive, right? I'm going to choose to say the right thing. I'm going to plan the right actions. It's not always going to be perfect. Of course not. No one's perfect. But you come back with it. You come back to it. You do better the next time. And I guess each time that you do better, each time that you move closer, you're moving one step closer to your goals. That's all you can do. That's really all we can do. So I feel pretty excited about this. And again, I'm a coach. So my name is Traci Harrell. And I love more than anything when I think about aligning both the scientific and the spiritual. It really gets me excited because positive intelligence is just like one little piece, about 10% of the work that I do. And I've done the mastering positive intelligence. So I've gone deep. I didn't just do 6 weeks. I've done 6 months, right? We just actually had our celebration today of our 6 months mastering of positive intelligence. So as I bring this in community, I feel very, very comfortable and confident how we can continue to do this, how we can show up, how we can help you to show up in excellence, right? I'm very, very confident with that. So if you can believe, again, it's the Monday after Resurrection Sunday, right? So I get to use that language again. And I'll pause and ask you to think about, what dream would you like to resurrect? What dream would you like to resurrect? What thing would you like to do today that is going to be absolutely aligned with the goals that you say you want to accomplish? Each day, start your day with a very clear vision, This is what I'm going to do today. These are the 3 things that I'm going to do today, right? Align with that goal. And then as you go to sleep at night and you start to plan like how you're going to accomplish these bigger goals, visualize them happening. Just visualize you doing exactly what you know you can, what you have before, and what you can in the future, what you can do consistently. This is about showing up for yourself, showing up consistently. And again, if I think about the text messages that I received since the last show and during the last show and post that time, what I can say without question is that many of you are making progress. You're providing your success stories, and I couldn't be more proud of you. Thank you for continuing to show up for yourself. Thank you for continuing to show up in community. We'll be bringing even more of that content into our videos for you. I know many of you are acting shy, like, well, I'm not done yet. I got it. I know. So we have some steps where you're on your journey, and we will keep your confidence about what you've shared, about your progress. And we also want to hear where you're struggling, because this show is about better together and living powerfully. So for those of you who are making progress, continue to do so. Those of you who haven't started yet and you're just like, what is she talking about? Go back and watch some of our past videos. I've tried to be very clear. And again, this program is life-changing. CEOs have used it with their teams for decades now, right? It's the compilation of scientific proven methodologies that are guaranteed to work if you work them in your life. I got 2 minutes left, I think, maybe 1.5. So the way I want to end this show is really inviting you to resurrect whatever dreams that you've thought about for the new year in 2024. Resurrect those dreams and get after it. Start to believe that not only can it happen, but visualize it happening, and then show up. Decide each day. Go to sleep at night imagining it. Wake up in the morning deciding, here are the 2-3 things I'm going to do today, even if it's just one thing toward that goal. I'm going to do 3 things today, right? One thing that's going to help me achieve the goal that I decided I wanted to do for the year. That is the simple solution for you showing up for you. That's it. It's just that simple. I know. It's actually miraculous how well this works. And thank you for all the people who've been texting me, putting in the chat. We appreciate you. Yes, I do want to show up authentically, and I invite you each to do the same. Show up for yourself and show up for community. So we'll be back here next week. This is Better Together and Living Powerfully right here on Rainier Avenue Radio. And next, you'll join us for Midlife Court. Thanks.
How you can't get enough of